Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the breakfast show. This is Martin here with Trading Idea with SMARTRobie. Now we all know last Friday the big drop that we seen, and there were many concerns about the Delta variant. We also saw yesterday the number of cases of Delta variant in Malaysia particularly has come down, but not so in other countries that we've seen regionally. So what do we have for you in our breakfast headline? Stay on and watch on. Now what we have this morning, let's take a look at this morning. And this morning, of course, our continuation collaboration with Rakuten Trade. So do open up the account with them and able to win 50 ringgit voucher. All right. Now let's look at today is our Monday for our breakfast show. We'll be focusing mainly on the Pentagon Guider, which is one of the easiest way to get into the market, as such that we want to get into stocks that is ready to move up. Of course, not every trade works. Right now, the KLCI continue to be very, very bearish, and I'm going to show you also shortly after this. But let's take a look at what our headlines have for us this morning. That's right. Now this headline is definitely focusing on the banking share, but let's not look at what we have on the KLCI market this morning in here. And as such, have we seen right now we still have CTOS has already IPO this morning in here. You could see it's up 44% at IPO price about 110 inside here. Great article was written on the Star Business about how they were able to continue to gather a lot of interest. Now the market is toggling back to excuse me, 1527, a 4-point up in here. One thing positive is the continuing uptrend of the rubber glove stocks that we've seen last Friday of the rebound because of the Delta variant in here. Now having said that, let's take a look at where the chart is, and we're going to build that up. So right now we are still accumulating in here. The question is, will any breakout at this point that you see on the chart over there, will it trigger a green pentagon, or will that form some sort of first resistance before the market sort of congests in here? So right now it's you know, if you look at it, it's kind of very interesting. One day up, one day down, one day up, one day down, right? And there's no tall tail sign that the market is going to break up. Don't take the first breakout, but do try to take on the pullback. I think that's also important in here. One of the reasons why is that you can look at the article on top here and sort of follow where we are right now. Let's switch to the banking stock. Now take note, I always talk about the banking stock is always been around the 32%, the 32% of the KLCI in here. So if the banking stock tak jalan, so many of this what we call the charts, it's not going to move up too. So let's look at the first one is definitely Maybank, right? I'm looking at Maybank right now, and you can see Maybank stock comment, stock chart. That's pretty much telling you where we are for the KLCI too. The KLCI is sort of moving sideways, and if you have the banking stock continue to be like this, whether the news this morning we talk about that they're going for higher earnings as the margin interest sector is improving. If it is, it's going to be very, very small one. And the same article is just saying, look, the loan growth forecast is only 3%. That is very similar to organic growth, which is, you know, they should have some organic growth as long as population growth. Population growth is about 2.5% in here. So that's pretty much very, very low. And let's take a look at the stock prices this morning in here. And it's just up 0.5%. Of course, we want to look at public bank too, which is also another big heavyweight in our market. So hit public bank and look at the stock price, which is minus 0.2. So this market, not much of a surprise, but the big takeaway has to come from the rubber glove. That's right. If the banking stocks pretty much stay here holding up, the banking stock has the rubber stocks have to come in. Let's take a look at the big one, which is Top Glove. And this is how you want to look at the market every morning. See whether there's in here. So Top Glove, and looking at the stock price, it's up 1.8%. So that explains why this morning this market is up. And let's see whether is there a green pentagon or not for the Top Glove. Okay, yes, there's already a green pentagon, And I do think that this rebound is possible. If you notice from the left-hand side, the first turning of the red pentagon that you see somewhere back in 23rd to 30th of May, that was the breakdown. If you could have got out and get back in, I think that's even better, right? So you can see right now we have many bars. You know, if you look at it, that's almost from May, June, July, that's almost 1 month plus. So this pullback, would it be a real move up? Let's take a look at the next news that talks about the rubber glove. Now that's right. Now rubber glove, this is reported by the National Rubber Board. Spokesperson said that like it or not, with the continuing COVID cases continue to grow up and more and not going away sooner rather than later, the rubber glove demand has increased compared to last year. Last year was 2020. You know what they say, we have a big boom, isn't it, last year when the rubber gloves start moving up, and this year they expect to hit 74 billion this year compared to last year 41 billion. So the question is, why isn't the rubber glove going up? Now we all know, last year rubber glove was one of the biggest big movement in here, and since then it dropped all the way to the bottom. But right now the prediction by the rubber glove are telling you, look, this thing is going to go up because the demand is so high, and we have right now. So the news and the technical charts are agreeing, and right now you are able to buy this at the very low price in here. And I do think going forward, at one point of time, the rubber glove will self-correct to itself with the demand. It's just that in Malaysia right now, a lot of the ESG, which is the environmental corporate governance, has been sort of very beaten down. And again, we need foreign funds to come in. If you check on the foreign fund movement on the Trade VSA premium dashboard, you will notice it's continued to outflow. But I will give you an update on this Wednesday. So looking at this, you can see right now the major consumption continue to be in China and United States due to the resumption of business. So more rubber glove is being bought, and you do notice rubber glove continue to fetch very good price, and no choice. You know, we have to use it. We have to use it. So take note, there will be many of those stocks starting to move back up, and right now you can also look at some of the smaller second tier stocks, and they are going up too. Now let's move on to the next news, which is going to be the ringgit. Now this will be a plus point also for the ringgit. As I said before, every time, and most of the for our country, an export base, is important to have a low ringgit in compared to US dollar. After all, most of the goods being purchased by US and China is in US dollar, so a lower currency for us would definitely be good. Now having said that, a lot of economists earlier on this year in January were banking on of 3.98, 3.99, and right now they have changed. You know, usually I do find many of the economists getting it wrong. At this point, when they say the market will go higher to 4.3, it will turn back down one. That's right. That is always the case. So are they a precursor to smart money? Actually, it's very hard to say. But what I do know, if we hit 4.3, then we are very close to the market turning back to strengthening. That's right. There's no reason to see a ringgit going beyond at this point. But from a chart wise, the economists now are turning into 4.3. We're at 4.2 right now, and over the weekend the market seems to be moving up in response to also the number of cases in Delta variant in here. Okay, so this is just the chart. So check out the chart in TradingView, and you will definitely see we are heading higher, but I do think at one point the market will turn back down, and so it's time to also diversify to the US market. Now the CPO prices has been trending up, if you do know, but unfortunately the plantation sector hasn't done the fair bit yet. Now the report in here, and one of the CPO trader that's likely to trade 4,100 and 4,300 in here, but there has been what we call a lagging between what we see on the CPO prices and what we see on the plantation. Of course, one of the biggest player in here is Sam Darby or Sam Plantation. So you can see, let me just switch to a wider chart. Sam PLNT. So you can see some PLNT, you know, Isn't it look like the KLCI or look like the bank stock? No, this is rubber glove. Okay, let me just bring out the Sun Plantation and bring out the not the stock fundamental. This is one of the biggest player. Look at the stock chart and stock comment. So you can see stock chart and stock comment is also downtrend like rubber glove, isn't it? Some of the major exporter like our rubber glove and our plantation all heading downwards, right? It's kind of strange, and that only can tell you from what I see is the what we call foreign funds leaving. When they leave, they're just going to sell all the way down, and some of these are export. So what has happened now, we have the background of the weaker ringgit, which will help plantation, will help the rubber glove stock too. So we'll see a rebound, but will this create a new trend? Definitely not in the shorter time. We need to see some sort of what we call a market stages accumulation first before this market can go back higher. I think that's important too. Else, because smart money need to play into accumulating. They can't have this what we call a dead cat bounce, coming down quickly shopping up. That doesn't work in a nice way. So if we look at the stocks, that is one example, and very similar. Look at Taan. Okay, stock chart and stock comment here. And you can see also Taan at least sort of reverse it up, but there's no green pentagon. I do think at one point of time we are likely to see the plantation stock revert back, because usually if the CPO prices can stay above 3,009, that will translate to better profit margin. And remember, I've talked about profit margin expansion. Whenever there's expansion in profit margin from a quarter to quarter basis, then you'll see a lot of these prices moving up. But again, going back to what I've talked before, right now the KLCI is pretty dominated by a lot of retailer, and retailer is not going to hold it long enough. They will get in, they will chop out. All right. So let's move on to our next news, which is crossing over to the US market. Now we do have seen the number of cases, as I said before, continue to go up, and there's also talk about the 99% of the death in US are currently caused by non-vaccinated. So US has sort of been divided into vaccinated America and non-vaccinated America. So at one point, the market will already price this in. Whether there is a big rise in the Delta variant, yes, cases do go up, but more important is hospitalization and as well as death. If the hospitalization and death is not significant, then we will not see what we saw last year during March when the COVID cases came in and we saw big death coming in. Right now, no doubt the Delta variant continue to be big, but will it buckle? That's more important. But right now, let's switch over to the US market in here. As you can see, the S&P 500 switching to a wider chart. We have seen the first sign of red pentagon. All right, let me just switch this up in here. This red pentagon, then the question is, will we see a follow through? So that also telling you it's time to take some profit off the market from the Delta due to the Delta variant based on the chart wise. But that doesn't mean this trend will revert downwards unless it broke through the ATR stop loss. That's the one that you see around 4,220 points. That's the one in here. We'll see tonight whether the Delta variant will continue to carry on or not. But what's also important is the next news I'll share with you is the earnings season of the large cap has come in. That includes Netflix, AT&T, Snaps, Chipotle, Twitter. So all the stocks are looking at it. Now the week before, we do have the banking stock continue to come out with very good earnings, and usually good earnings profit taking, right? That only tells you the market can go higher, because any profit taking is temporary, like what we call in our technical pullback. So this market can definitely go higher to at least 4,400, I believe, for the S&P 500. Moderna has been included into the S&P 500. That will provide some sort of basis for this market to move higher. So that's looking pretty good in here. Learn to buy on weakness. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have right now for Netflix. NFLX. Okay, Netflix, you can see from the Pentagon chart there. So Netflix, since the green Pentagon from a low base of what? How much is that? $500 went up to $550, and you have a red pentagon. That's almost a 10% movement in there. So right now, would it is that time to buy? Yes, we will have to see on technical wise, or probably you can use the trading band to buy this one in here. Twitter, let's look at Twitter too. TWTR. So Twitter stock chart and stock comment in here, and that's even nicer. You can see from the green pentagon somewhere between 16th of May, it hits a bit earlier, 3rd of July, has a double top at $70 in here. Now of course, if the result is good, usually it will be gap up. It's not going to run, I can tell you that, because a lot of this is going to be on market correction, and market always go up on the wall of worry. Many pundits are telling you correction. So the market will correct, but that's only temporary before they do another push up. Once the correction or the saying is over in the market will push up, because that's the time where, you know, a lot of retailers who do not know how to reach out, they'll take profits. All right, and when they push up again, they don't get back in. So that's a lot of time where they miss out. So if you look at the chart wise here from $70, I think at one point in time, you will see a green pentagon to maintain the continuation. This stocks is still in uptrend. The US market is still in uptrend. Malaysia is yet to see. We have to see a little bit of support at the 1500 right now. And we do see the rebound on the rubber glove. So that means the market is ticking up, but it won't have the kind of recovery that we've seen way back in 2020 for the KLCI market. Now let's move on to our next story in here is the SGX in Singapore. Stock to watch by the Business Times are CapitaLand, QHU and Intera are oil and gas. I'm not a big fan of oil and gas, to be frank with you, because the oil and gas right now, the prices are high. This is due to the OPECs looking to moderate their output, so they are still trying to, you know, give it such a way that the prices are affordable but not too low too, so they can make that. So in here you look at the only one that is pretty decent. Of course, my take is still on the technology. So you look at CapitaLand. Switch over to SGX here, and let's take a look at this market for the SGX market here. So this morning SGX is down, down 35 points. That's a lot. This morning here down 35 points. So you can see here, Thai beverage, big gainers are mainly the ETF on top of you here, and the big losers are decliners are the S&P 500. So there's not much of the big take here. The active one is Sembawang Corps. Those are really penny stocks that you can see. MM2, which is the movie making production. Z74, that's the airline, right? So that's pretty much telling it. But let's take a look at CapitaLand, since this is the stocks that was mentioned. CapitaLand, which is a property stocks. CapitaLand is C31, and hit on stock chart, stock comment. So you can see CapitaLand continue to push upright, and that is also, I think, at one point will push to hitting green pentagon in here. It hasn't turned yet. It's bullish. You can see C31 in here. That probably tell you, the property sectors are bullish. Now this year, take note, the SGX is up 10%, okay, compared to our Malaysian market, minus 7%. Last year they were minus 9%, and KLCI were about minus 3%. So it's more like a 1 year up, 1 year down kind of thing, and that's happening right now for Malaysia. Now I think Malaysia will not go down to minus 7% eventually. For the year end closing, it would close back up to still a negative territory, I can tell you that. Not much. It's not going to go more than 3% or 4%. It's going to be minus 3%. It's not going to be up or down that much. Again, year end, there will always be window dressing. Take note of that one. So technology stocks still continue to be my favorite in Singapore. If you want to do that, just go over to SGX, go over to the hot sectors, and you can see technology in here. Hit technology, and those big players are VO3. You can see it's a bullish rating. It hasn't turned green pentagon yet. UMS, Silver Lake, okay, bullish 90%. CEL, there isn't much, to be frank with you, technology stocks in Singapore. Mainly, most of them are much better off in Malaysia and of course US. So with that, you can able to see three market, the SGX, the KLCI, and also the US market in here. All right, let's move on to the past leaderboard that we have on our Pentagon Guide. Continue to pick some good winners, but do take note. Remember the last 1 month, 1.5 months since May, June hasn't been a great month, so the market continued to drop off. Last week pick we have Petronas Gas, all right, and the week before JF Tech. Any technology stock will be okay, as I said before. So let's take a look at where we were. JF Tech, which we picked that up in 5th of July. So 5th of July is when the market picks up here, and yeah, that's great. You see, you can see slowly but surely going up. Okay, take note, if you look at this and compare to Apple, all right, let me show you Apple here. Okay, AAPL, so you can see Apple on the chart wise. You see Apple just on top of me here has really moved up. Whoa, the question is always going to be, will JF Tech do very similar, right? Again, we all know, right? This thing need to be moved by foreign funds. The retailer are not coming in, but they are not selling that much too. You know, any sellers, you can see the old high was around $2.20. Right now it's about 146. I think at one point it will try to test for 175. All right, for JF Tech. Now the stock of last week that we picked are Petronas Gas, because last week was a very bearish week. You can see this was the 12th, which is around here, pullback, and this morning it's up back 0.64. So it's going to be range bound. If you notice that, let me just turn this off again. Right, it's going to be range bound between this two range, hitting the $15.50 and $16. This is not a retail stocks. To be frank with you, Petronas Gas, usually these are more institutional buying, and it does capitalize on a good dividend payout. Okay. Now let's move on to the next story that we have for you. All right, which is the trade idea for this morning. That's right. Now this morning trade idea for 19th of January, episode 94 will be MY News. Okay, and it's from the Pentagon Guide. Okay, MY News. So MY News, why did I pick this? You got NS, one of the very strong sign of strength in here, and one of Zach favorite in here. We did have a green Pentagon, but this morning profit quickly come in, but it's okay. We'll see how well it panned out. So that's the first one, MY News. All right. Then the next one is DUFU. Okay, DUFU has green Pentagon in here, and it's sort of marching high. Little bit of pullback here. Okay, that's fine. Little bit of pullback shouldn't be a concern. Right, and what we need to know is eventually this bar closing up high here compared to the previous one, and that's what we are looking for. Okay, that's the one we are looking for, and to ensure that if the market do break out the 480, DUFU has a chance to go a bit higher. Again, DUFU, I believe, is a technology stocks. So again, all technology stock eventually move up. You can see JF Techs are playing catch up. Some of these are already hitting new high. Okay. So take note of the two shares, and of course next week we will come back and re-look at it for the lesson learned. All right, now let's go on to the Pentagon Guide. Just an update. So far we are at 11% compared to the KLCI, which is about -7%. So we are doing pretty much well. We are beating it by 20%. This year hasn't been a great year compared to last year, 2020. Last year, 2020, we made about 106% on a portfolio of 35,000. But right now on a portfolio of 31,000, we are about at 11.6% in here. Take note of that one. So question is, how's your portfolio been doing? Let me know. Type it in there and do let us know how we are able to help you to improve your portfolio returns, okay, in your trading. And one of the letters we did receive from our member, again, one of our main course students, and he told me the secret, Martin, is learn to cut loss fast. Now that's a lesson for this morning. Now how many of you can do cut loss fast? Right? Still learning, isn't it? Now the sooner you learn how to cut loss fast, the better your performance, and that's precisely why we make money. Again, at the end of it, a lot of the time, the performance of what we have is something that we need to do. It's really up to you, right? So let's go on to the next, which is the sign of strength. We continue to flash this. This is the trade setup that we always talk about in here, and we want to see low, what we call a narrow stretch bar, and we'll talk about this on the 28th of July, next Wednesday, talk on looking at charts that's ready to move up. So that's something I will talk about it next week. And you can see going to this chart, looking at bar by bar, we want to see the market actually range bound. And if you look back the chart that I talk about, DUFU and My News, they are very, very similar to this kind of setup. So make sure you have this kind of setup in your manner. And this is the QR code for those of you who are first time listening here. You want to check out this Trade VSA tutorial, very short one that explains sign of strength and sign of weakness in here. And don't forget, our August intake is up, and this next Wednesday will be the 28th. How to select stocks that's ready to move higher. I have something planned for this Wednesday night. I will probably release the topic what I'm going to talk about this Wednesday, probably on technology. Okay, technology review in here. So join me this coming Wednesday and also next Wednesday for some of this very interesting topic that I share through our research in here. And right now, thank you for those of you who continue to review us on Google Store and Apple Play Store. So we really appreciate your apps review too in the online store. And if you have not reviewed, we really appreciate if you're doing a good job, just go over there and review that. And right now, for our top sharer and top feedback, we're going to be looking at some of the stocks that you have. Okay, so do pencil in there, and we're going to be looking at the stocks right now. Okay, let's look at Maybach. It's very, very close. Do take note, Victor. All right. Maybach is one of the stocks that we have. If we do break below the ATR stop loss, it's time to go. Right now, it's coming back, so we're just going to hold on to that one. Priva. Priva Technology looks good. You have a nice pullback here. Right, line change. This is technology stocks. It's going to test back around 30 cents inside here. Looks good. Amil, all Avanta, Hexa, you are just only taking a pick on portfolio only. Try to diversify out. If you're not, your portfolio is going to have a bit of a swing. As I said before, you don't want to buy Public Bank, Maybank, and also RHB Bank in one portfolio. If he does that, just go for one stocks, even better. Right, the whole point in buying portfolio is to able to diversify out. Okay, next one. Any more stocks review in here? Yeah, let's hope that the Maybach will start to pick up too. Okay, any more stocks that you want me to look at? I'll be happy here. There are fairly good technology stocks, and the way to look at that is to review back your Robie chat, go on to hot sectors in here, and just go on to technology. Right, whole list of them in here: Great Tech, Vitrox, Penta, Goodtronics. Always stay on the market leaders, right, just on top me in here. Okay, but again, this Wednesday we're going to review it for the second half of the year and see how well it will pan out. Okay, JHMD next. All right, we're going to look at the try mode. All right, try mode, it's a nice stock, continue to go up. All right, this is again very what we call a smart money kind of thing. Just take note of the resistance here, 82 cents. It's a bit high in here. All right, we got the Palantir. Palantir, that's a US stock. We will look at it. Then look at D next. Okay, D next, very nicely done. Green Pentagon, that's okay. as long as the green pentagon, go with it. JHM also okay, right? I think this one, a lot of smart money already put their money in here. It's going to test for 250 inside here, okay? Tencent, the Chinese stock will take some time before they come back. Just take note. If it's a Tencent inside, just wait for the green pentagon, because right now, as I said before, last week on the Macquarie warrant, we have two issues in here. One is the Chinese and US continue to respect, and also the China regulators. So if you have the Chinese regulators around this, the stocks don't have the kind of freedom to move. Smart money also don't want to. At one point, when it's ready to move, just watch the green pentagon inside here. Okay, let's look at revenue. Yeah, revenue is going to turn green pentagon very soon. You can see that. Just wait for it in here. Take out of the, because the technology stocks eventually, once they start to pick up, they will pick up. KAB. This is an engineering company. Yeah, okay, this one is fine too. You can see double bottom, very nice. A green pentagon in here. Just watch out for the $1 mark in here. CSIQ Canadian. Now, I've talked about Canadian Solar on Saturday. That's right. Now, the Canadian Solar continue to fall because of the patent infringement that they have. They did break out on a better result in here. So they did two projects. One is in I think that's one in Japan, another one in Colombia. But the Canadian Solar, again, it's a play on the solar panels in here. So some of these are being impacted due to the infringement. If you look at First Solar here, you can see it is also taking, but look at this one here, right? They all have the same exhibit. Once they hit up to $94, $93 in here, right? Of course, it's up here. Canadian Solar is slightly cheaper, is it? It moves back to this range back at the support here. So that tells you the trouble that they have. They have a lot of sellers that they have to remove first. So this one, I still long term on this one in here. If it's a trading stocks, then you need to exit. All right. Okay, let's look at Globetronics. So Globetronics. Now remember, Globetronics hasn't had the best run like Penta and so forth. One of the reasons why is because of the margin. Just go over and check out the fundamental of all the tech stocks. This one, the margin still really stronger. Look at the margin expansion for Globetronics. Look at the 4-year trend, and you probably know what I mean. So let's look at Penta. Yeah, Penta, it's nicely done. It's going to test back 574 in here, and let's see how he does. Now, some of the stocks, just be a bit choosy, okay? With any of the tech stocks that you have, those have already broken out. You don't want to chase them. Buy those that hasn't broke out yet. You have a more chance of the big movement from here. All right, take note about that. Last one is Palantir, Shah. I think this is a US stock. Yeah, NYSC. Yeah, this one again. This is the big data one. Broke through the ATR stop loss. Again, check out the fundamental if you want to hold this. If not, this is definitely an exiting point. All right, broke through the ATR stop loss. Time to exit. But right now, I think it has a support here around $21. See whether it builds a base or not, and you decide from there. Okay. Okay, we got another comment in DPIP. Okay, DPI holding. That one's okay. You can see you got the triple top here. You got a little bit of climatic volume. Take note, a lot of climatic volume, this market will turn. And that's why it's good to have a stock like this and the continuation of our support from our coaches in here. All right, that's all I have. And really, thank you for coming today in here. And don't forget, all right, don't forget, that's the code. You go over and review us and Google Play Store in here. And I will see you on Wednesday. And have a good Hari Raya Haji, those of you who are celebrating in, have a good rest tomorrow. Our Bursa market will be closed, but I will be with you on Wednesday. Thank you and bye-bye.